We'll never die alone.
Juggalos will carry on.
Swing our hatchets if we must.
Each and every one of us.
Are you a fan of the Insane Clown Posse? Are you a fan of other artists on Psychopathic Records? Do you call yourself a Juggalo? Then that means you're a gang member. It doesn't matter if you don't have a criminal record. Doesn't matter if you've never committed a crime. Doesn't matter if you have a high school diploma, a bachelor's, and a master's. Doesn't matter if you have a steady paying job, make an honest living. Doesn't matter if you help the poor or help children read. Doesn't matter how much of a good person you are. The FBI has branded all Juggalos gang members. The Deadheads, the Kiss Army, Beliebers, and the Maggots. They're all known as fan groups, but the Juggalos are being called a gang.
For those of you that don't know, a Juggalo or Juggalette is a dedicated fan of the horrorcore hip-hop duo Insane Clown Posse, or ICP. Juggalos have developed their own idiom, slang, and characteristics, and according to Utzler, Juggalos come from all walks of life, from poverty, from rich, from all religions, all colors. It doesn't matter if you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth or a crack rock in your mouth.
The FBI hates Juggalos, and I'm sure many of you are smiling at that sentence. According to the LA Times, the FBI recently released their 2011 National Gang Threat Assessment Report, and in that report, alongside gangs that we know and love, like the Bloods, the Crips, and the Latin Kings, the Juggalos have also been listed. The report claims that Juggalos are a fast-growing, violent gang and a loosely organized hybrid gang similar to the Latin Kings.
Well, I kind of find that to be BS. I mean, you can go anywhere online, find links everywhere that send you to an interview that the band themselves had with the record labels and some government officials. And they explain how they're just a band. People who listen to them, Juggalos, and any other name you give them, are just fans. Yes, there were a few people who did some dumb stuff, but that doesn't make everyone who listens to them a gang, which I have to completely agree with, because I don't do anything wrong. I have kids of my own that I take care of. I know a couple other Juggalos, they go to church, they're taxpayers. One of them is actually a clerk of the court. Obviously I keep his name anonymous because I don't want to throw names out there, but yeah, they're all tax-paying, well-behaved citizens. None of them gang members.
I don't want people to go out there and look at every Juggalo and go, oh my God, he's a gang member, he's got a machete on him and he's gonna slice and dice everybody.
Here's the problem though, Violent J. A number of people who have been associated with serious criminal acts of violence and murder, have had some kind of connection to ICP and Juggalos.
And I'm sure they watch Stephen King movies as well.
They're no longer regarded as innocent lovers of your music because of a number of horrendous crimes that have occurred.
I say bullshit. I say it's not true. I say
It's
people
not
have
true.
a wrong idea.
Let me give you an example. In February 2006, individual attacks people with a machete in a gay bar. He kills a police officer in traffic stop. He calls himself a Juggalo.
There's something wrong with that kid.
He was insane to begin with.
You better holler at his parents and see how they raised him all
What about in
messed
September
up.
2009? Sam McCroskey.
Come on, man. Who else do they listen to? Why don't you blame him?
Well, there is bad seeds in every group. Unfortunately, like most cases, they are giving the rest of the community and the fandom a bad name because, well, really, I don't need to go into like details of other organizations that's done horrible things and given that organization a bad rap for a while. But yeah, I think they get, whoever they are, if they got caught doing bad things, they got what they deserved. And the rest of us who don't do anything wrong shouldn't get punished for it.
Let's assume two people commit the same crime. One of them has no record, the other one is a gang affiliation in the police system. Now the guy who doesn't have a record, he might get off easy with a fine, do community service, or maybe even probation. But the guy who's got the gang affiliation, he's going to get a more harsher punishment. So let's assume you get stopped by the police officer for whatever reason, and he notices something juggalo on you. Maybe it's a Hatchet Man tattoo, maybe it's a Hatchet Man necklace, maybe even a hat. He's going to write you up and put you in the system as a gang affiliation now. So if you commit a crime, you're going to get a harsh sentence because you're considered a gang.
You got like a 13-year-old kid that lives out in the sticks rocking a Hatchet Man shirt, you know what I'm saying, or rocking an ICP shirt, and suddenly he's in a gang, you know what I'm saying, living in the cornfields in Idaho or whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's like they're in the Bloods or Crips or MS-13 or something like that. That's insane to even think like that, you know? You got people getting kicked out the army. You got everyday upstanding citizens because they got a little Hatchet Man tattoo on their shoulder, all of a sudden now in a gang file.
And so the gang database, you know, and when you get sentenced, let's say you get caught with a little marijuana or something, whatever the crime is, when you get sentenced fine. But if you're in a gang file, that sentence is harsher.
No question.
You know what I'm saying? And we're talking about a guy who maybe is 32, works at a factory, raising his family, gets pulled over for a broken taillight. He's got a Hatchet Man on his arm tattooed from when he used to love ICP even. Now he's in the gang file. Now, if he gets in trouble, it's like being on probation. You know what I mean? You get a harsher sentence.
You get locked up. You're thrown in the gang pods. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
You can't walk down the street wearing a Riddle Box shirt without getting harassed or something of that nature, being called a gang member. I actually got passed up for a job and a possibility in the sheriff's department because I have a Hatchet Man tattoo. Because it's gang affiliating. I mean, they lost a lot of financial capability, like Violent J, or as Juggalos would actually know him by his name. He has a kid, he's got a wife, and when their merchandise was became considered contraband, people can't walk down the street wearing their merchandise. They can't. The stores that would originally carry them, like Hot Topic, Spencer's, stuff like that, product placement, they stopped carrying it because they thought it was gang memorabilia and stuff like that. So that was a really huge cut in their finances that they were living off of. And his kid had to stop going to private school and had to go to public school. He stopped having the house he was living in and had to downsize to something else. He didn't really go into detail. Shaggy, or as other people know him by his real name, obviously won't disclose that. He had a lot of financial issues as well because his livelihood was affected by, well, the FBI. Which I find to be BS. Odd too, because I know a couple people who like repped Psychopathic Records as a whole, including Twisted and all them. Got tattoos. One of them even has on his forearm the face paint signal, like designs of Violent J and Shaggy too, though. And on his other arm, he has Twisted's faces on his arms, and he's stuck. He can't get any like really high-end jobs anymore because he's a gang member. Which I was like, wow. You were like, what, 20? And he was like, yeah. I was like, that's like a decade ago, and you're being held responsible for it now?
Yeah.
Like, he actually got fired, actually, if I remember right. He had a really well, it was a decent job, but it was like a manager or something, and he got demoted because he was a gang member.
What kind of music did Jeffrey Dahmer listen to? What kind of music did John Wayne Gacy listen to? What kind of music did Ted Bundy listen to? What kind of music did Hitler or Jack the Ripper listen to? Apparently, they're not blaming the music there, they're blaming the killers. So, let's say somebody decides they want to blow up something or go on a shooting spree? Are they going to blame the music they're listening to? Apparently. They'll blame the music, they'll blame the video games, maybe even blame comics. But there was a time that video games, television, and comics didn't exist, but the violence did. So if anything, the television, comics, video games, even the music, they talk about exactly what you see in the world, the violence. What about the parents? Are they to blame maybe? Maybe they didn't show their kid they loved them. Maybe they weren't there for their kids. Maybe they just blame society in general. Person got made fun of in society, got bullied. So maybe now the Juggalos are being set an example of, since they can't blame the fans of the NWA or the Wu-Tang Clan. I guess they're gonna blame the Juggalos and call them a gang since they can't do it to everyone else. And pretty much the only ones who are fighting for the Juggalos are the Insane Clown Posse and their lawyers.
Let your homies, what you talking about?